This is season 4, and I am on a mission to help creatives become the most loved versions of themselves. I want to help you step into health in every single area of your life and pursue the authentic creative expression that you feel called to and that only you can. The world feels crazy right now, and we need healthy creatives more than ever. So let's get into it. I'm Courtney Lancaster, and this is the Heal Create Podcast. All right. Welcome to another episode of the Heal Create Podcast. Hi, everybody. I am so excited to welcome. Okay, I want to make sure that I get the pronunciation of your last name right. Is it Dilio?
Yeah,
Dilio.
DeLeo, yes.
Okay, Dilio. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited to welcome Alyssa Dilio. She's a psychotherapist and the founder of Let's Retrain the Brain, a program that I actually took a few months ago, where she teaches people how to use neuroplasticity to heal anxiety, chronic illness, and emotional patterns that feel stuck in the body. And I'm so excited to get into your story, but it's not just a theory for you. You used brain retraining to overcome your own chronic illness and transform your life. So with a decade of experience using evidence-based therapies, Alyssa blends compassion and cutting-edge brain science to help people create real lasting change. I am so excited to have you. Welcome.
I'm so excited to be here.
I wanted to have you on. I knew when I've been following your account for a while, and I think the way that you put things is so brilliant, and the way that you explain neuroplasticity, which has been a topic that I've been really fascinated with myself ever since my own experience with chronic illness and using brain retraining as a powerful tool. I just kind of became obsessed with the topic in general and your account. And then I was able to take your program, which is really teaching kind of the basics of neuroplasticity. Can you explain a little bit? I want to get into your story and what you do, but can you explain a little bit like what your program does and like why you wanted to create that?
Yeah, I was inspired to create the transformation blueprint because I feel that a lot of programs out there, they're amazing and they help you rewire your brain and they help you create these adaptive neuroplastic changes. But I always felt that there was something missing and the exact roadmap had gaps. So I really wanted to bridge the gap on how to help people get exactly from where they are, point A, step by step by step, every single day, and exactly what to do, when to do it, how long to do it, to point B. So how to bridge the gap between Identity 1.0 and Identity 2.0. And I just found that a lot of programs, they have the meat and they have the potatoes, but there's other ingredients that are missing where there's confusion, people still feel stuck. So it was everything that I did throughout the past 10 years on my own personal transformation journeys, health aside, all into one like step by step cohesive process.
Yes. Yeah, you're totally right too. There's so many. I've done a lot of different programs. And I was trying to explain to my assistant when we were going into January, I'm like, we're going to be talking about brain retraining. And she was like, what? Wait, so what is it? And I'm like, no, I get that the language can sometimes feel complicated, but I'm almost like, no, it's simpler than that. It's like almost so simple that it feels complicated. And then once you get the simple basics of what it is, then it's like, I became obsessed with all of the nuances, and you do a really good job of getting the basics of what we're doing. And then also when you're talking about identity transformation, what I feel like with a lot of programs out there is that it's either super woo-woo or it's like super basic and very sciencey. But like the intersection of the two is where I have found my interest and what I feel like you also are talking about.
Yes, I agree with you there. I'm all about the woo woo. I love
Totally.
the woo woo.
Same.
However, for me to buy into the process
Same.
and to
Yeah.
do work, I need the science. When I
Same.
understand the science, I am fully
Yeah.
100% all in because it's proof. It's science. You can't argue with
100%.
science. So
Yes. Yes, totally. Well, can you tell us a little bit about your journey and how you found yourself in this area of interest?
Yeah, it was a wild ride, like everyone else's is with chronic illness, not really understanding what the genesis is, ruling out everything, literally every single thing possible. So I got every single test unimaginable, every single blood.
Detox,
I mean, I
all the things,
literally
yeah.
did everything.
Yeah.
Everything was ruled out. So there was really no more searching aside from searching within. Soul searching. That was really the only thing
Yeah. Yeah.
that was left. And, I remember at some point I was very angry for a very long
Mm,
time at the situation I was in. It was a relationship that I was in at the time, and there was a lot of resentment, there was a lot of anger, and that was just the icing on the cake of a lot of stressors over a long period of time.
totally.
That was
Yeah.
just the tip of the iceberg. And I was like, there has to be something to this that's explaining some of my symptoms. And I typed in repressed something and chronic something into Google, and I stumbled upon Dr. John Sarno.
Yep. That was,
And
yep.
is
The
that who
book, the
you?
back. Yeah. That was my very first, the Curable app. Do you
Okay.
know?
Okay.
Yes, like Dr. John Sarno and like his connection to back pain and
Yes.
understanding like repressed anger. And I was like,
Yes.
it was like pulling me forward.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
so crazy that you also started with
Yeah.
Sarno. I think
Uh-huh.
Sarno is he really, I
Good
think,
gateway.
yeah, he was the gateway to a lot of
Yes.
people
Yeah.
stumbling upon this work. And I remember reading his books, and he was explaining certain personality types that tend to be afflicted with these mind body syndromes, and he called it TMS. It was an umbrella term that
Hmm.
encompassed basically every single mysterious medical
Yeah.
condition and chronic illness. And I was like, whoa, that is
Yeah.
me to a
Yeah.
T. It's type A, overachieving, perfectionistic, adverse experiences growing up, walking around with a sense of hypervigilance, classic textbook TMS. I'm like, okay, this is what's
Yeah.
going on. My emotions quite
Yeah.
literally making me
Yeah.
sick. And if my
Yeah.
emotions could make me sick and create and reorganize my brain in a way to create those unhealthy habits and physical changes in my brain and then in my body, that same brain can also heal me. And so I just delved into all of the things. But the chronic illnesses that I had, I skipped past that part. It was
Yeah.
chronic fatigue syndrome, chronic pain, and irritable bowel syndrome. So I was completely bedridden. I had to crawl to even get to the bathroom. I sat down to shower.
Honey.
It was
Yeah.
bad. It was
Wow.
really, really bad. I had to quit my job as a therapist. I had chronic pain head to toe. I couldn't work out. I could only eat three foods. I dropped down to like 87 pounds.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah, like I was sick, like sick,
Yeah.
sick, sick, sickly sick. And
Yeah.
and doctors, as amazing as they are, I think when it comes to these type of conditions, they just don't really, understand. They're not educated in it. So I had to figure it out on my own, like almost everyone else in the chronic illness
Yes. Yeah.
community.
So true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you go down the path of like, it sounds like with the food, like cutting out foods and detoxes and like support groups and like talking to other people who had it? Like, did you go down the like dark, like trying to find the external thing?
Oh yeah, and I think that only made it worse
So
too,
much worse. So much
because what
worse.
because what fires together wires together.
Yes.
So if you're talking to these people in these dark places, which I mean, it could be helpful for some people, but again, you're reinforcing to your brain,
An
I'm sick.
identity.
Yes, you're reinforcing an outdated identity. You're trying to
Yes.
reinforce health. When you're trying to become healthy, you don't want to surround yourself with discussions of feeling sick and eliminating things. I wanted to eat all of the foods again. It didn't make sense to me logically. Okay, 1 year ago, I could eat whatever
Yes.
I wanted.
Yeah.
Every single food I was able
Yeah.
to eat. And then all of a sudden, oh, I have to eliminate every single food, and my body's reacting to all these foods, and the
Yeah.
gastroenterologists are saying low FODMAP diet,
Yep.
take out gluten, take out dairy. I was down to 3 foods, and that the only thing that did was make my diet even smaller and make me terrified to reintroduce food
Totally.
because my new narrative was this food is a threat. And so my brain,
Yeah.
if that was factual.
Yes, totally. And so many people, like, I just feel like I always feel like I wanna just mention for anyone listening that's in that place, like, that was I was in a similar place for a while, not exactly the same, but very, very sick, like, in bed so much, so afraid of food, and I was trying all of the different diets, all of the different elimination diets, detoxes that and really, like you said, reinforcing my identity that, like, I'm not well. I'm not a I'm not a healthy person. And I remember hearing somebody on a podcast talking about a brain retraining program they did where they were like, it was important for me before I really began healing to teach my brain that there was no emergency. And I remember being like, what the like whatever she just said, that's a clue for me. Like that was a breadcrumb. I was like, wait, I believe there's an emergency all the time. Like I wouldn't have said it like that, but my whole body is expressing like I am being chased by a lion 24/7. So for you, I'm wondering like when did you actually what did your like practice look like? Like what was the process of you getting out of that state using these like practices?
It came down predominantly to visualization, obsessed with visualization,
Same, same.
visualization, exposure therapy, and my new elimination was eliminating myself from anything that I knew wasn't good for my soul,
Yeah.
and also eliminating myself from these false narratives that this is
Yes.
chronic. People that were sick talking about it, anything. I eliminated myself. I did a total detox from the chronic illness community, and I brainwashed myself. I mean, it
Yes.
was a full time brainwashing job of
Yes.
healing is possible, and I am going to heal, and I'm only going to immerse myself with the proof that that is possible. And that was my
Yeah.
new world.
Yes. 100%. What did that how like long did it take before you really started noticing differences?
Yeah. So for each thing, my journey was a little bit different. For the pain, it was mostly the elimination and talking to myself through exposure therapy. Instead of wearing braces and not wearing high heels and not going to the gym and putting ice packs on me and TENS units on me, I had to wean myself off of all of those things because that was
Yeah.
reinforcing that there was something structurally wrong with me or wrong with my tissues or my muscles. So I had to eliminate doing
Right.
stuff, even
Right.
though it made me feel safe and it made me think that it was helping something.
Yes.
So I with the pain, I let go of that slowly, not too
Yeah.
quick because that would have been
Right.
more of a threat.
More stressful, yes.
So I let go of that slowly, and then I also slowly exposed myself to things that my brain associated as threats. So lifting weights, wearing bags, wearing heels, all of the things. And I'll never forget, it would take 3 or 4 or 5 times of exposures, but what used to hurt me started not hurting me anymore. And I would talk to myself in the exposures. Oh, that's just a false signal. It's eventually going to
Yeah.
go away. There's nothing actually wrong with me. And I would try and laugh at it and pay it as a little of attention as possible. I made it seem so
Mm.
insignificant to my brain that eventually my brain got the message, oh, if this human isn't using these safety devices anymore, if they're engaging in these behaviors that I used to deem as threatening and that would hurt this person, maybe it's okay. And then it just started shutting off. The pain signals just
Yeah. Yeah.
slowly. And so I noticed it took about 3 to 12 months for me to feel fully safe to do all
Yeah.
of the things. But I noticed a big shift at around month 3 with my pain. I was almost out of chronic pain in 3 months. That wasn't the case with the other
Yeah.
conditions, but the
Right.
pain I got out of surprisingly fast considering how bad it was.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And when people are identifying as somebody who is sick, I think something that makes it hard is when there's something like mold toxicity, where it almost gives somebody like a, well, but that's like a real thing that really is happening. It's a real thing in my body. And or like anything that's like sort of this like external thing that happened to you. And I think that like one of the my ways out of that thinking, because I did have mold toxicity, was like recognizing my husband and I lived in the same exact places for the last 20 years and he was fine. And I just remember being like, wait. So there's something that when you're what I've learned, and I'd love to hear you speak into this. What I learned is that when your body is in a self-preservation state, it doesn't detoxify naturally. It actually holds on to all of this stuff, which is what causes so much of the sickness, combined with your fear of it, which then, keeps you in that like chronic pain place. And that was like a clue for me also to be like, he doesn't have the identity of a sick person. He'll like, interact with these things that with poison, and his
Yeah.
body will just like gently detoxify it because he lives more in like a ventral or a safe state. Could you speak into that? What's happening?
Yeah, I think the body is naturally supposed to be able to digest your food with ease,
Yes. Another great example.
detoxify itself with ease. But
Yep.
again, viruses, not always with ease when it's the flu or with COVID, and you see
Sure.
this with long COVID. But I think the
Yes.
people that tend to get afflicted with these, you know, chronic Lyme disease or the mold or get afflicted with post COVID, all of the things. The body is made to heal, and if it's not, there's something that's blocking it from doing so. And I think that it is always rooted. The core root of it all is really your nervous system. When your nervous system
Yeah.
is stuck in that fight or flight, and there's cortisol and there's adrenaline, that natural healing mechanism just gets shut off and your body just does not process things and heal in the way that it is naturally. We have a natural innate capacity for it to be able to do that, and it's not able to
Totally.
when you're in that state. And that's why I think people, when they're super regulated and when their nervous systems feel safe and they're not going through a big type trauma or an accumulation of different stressors and traumas, they don't typically get afflicted with things like this. And I don't think that that's a coincidence. I don't think it's
No.
a coincidence.
No, I think there's a lot of science to actually back you up on that. What matched for me with the identity of being a sick person was sort of this pervasive belief that I picked up in childhood that there was something wrong with me. So, like, to be a sick person later on was like, I already believed I was kind of broken. So then it just was like, it matched. And I think that it took me years to see that in hindsight that, like, oh, that identity actually, as much as I hated it consciously, subconsciously, it actually matched who I believed that I was deep inside.
I don't want to say I love that because I don't love that you felt that way, but I
Sure,
love
right.
that I love that
Yeah,
epiphany that you had, because I do think that a lot of people unconsciously live out their deep rooted subconscious belief systems and they turn into self-fulfilling prophecies because they're
Yes.
never really aware that they're there. It's driving 95% of our beliefs and our actions and our behaviors and how we view ourselves and how we view the world. But most people are never able to shine the light on what that limiting belief is or what's actually driving the show. So it's going to show
Totally.
up in your health, in your relationships, and in if
Yeah.
you're going to take risks or if you're going to sabotage. And that's why I love the
Yes. I know.
conscious and requiring it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I know, and I also think, like, I there was something, like, I think somebody, um, like a mentor kind of gently suggested, like, I wonder what you're getting out of this subconsciously. And after the initial offense of that comment, it's like, nothing. I'm getting nothing. I'm impaired. Like,
Yep.
my life is limited. I'm not. I was like, over the years, like, again, in hindsight, I'm like, I think I thought subconsciously, like, it was going to get me the help and the attention that I wished that I had when I was younger. It was going to get somebody was going to rescue me if they saw how hurt I actually was, and then it got worse and worse and worse. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense. Your little inner
Yeah.
girl
Yeah.
was screaming
Yeah.
and wanting that love and to be seen and that attention,
Totally. Yeah.
cared for. It'll play out in the most
Oh my
dramatic
gosh.
ways when there's an unmet need and
Yes.
secondary gain. In
Yes.
chronic illness, some people are afraid because if they are being taken care of and they don't have to return to the high demands of the real world, it's sometimes hard for people to let go of that
I
secondary
know.
gain that does sometimes come from chronic illness.
Totally.
Yeah.
Did you go on I mean, I'm sure you're a psychotherapist, like, the reparenting journey alongside of this?
I actually, shockingly enough, I didn't. I find myself doing more of that work now as I
Okay.
meditate. It
Sure.
comes up for me a lot organically in my meditations. Just make
Yeah, 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 yeah.
people feel safe, especially as I expand my business and you know
Totally.
ability and holding more. There's a lot of
Yes.
nervous system regulation just around expansion. That's a whole other conversation,
Oh, yeah.
but not too much in my healing journey. I do think it is essential though, because I think things can start to come up if you don't have an
Yeah.
healthy relationship and you don't do that inner child work. It's Things will come up, some self-sabotage will come up, nervous system dysregulation I think will come up again, not at full capacity chronic illness, but it'll
Yeah.
start showing up in maladaptive ways. And I have noticed that where I'm not back into chronic illness, but I'm like, something is going on,
Totally.
and the root tends
Yes.
to go back to that little girl feeling, unsafe.
Totally. I so appreciate you saying that too, because I think, like, when you do have success as an expert in the field, it can be a little bit tempting to sort of hide the fact that we are also on a journey as well, that you're also on a journey as well. And I'm just like, no, like, the more you go, like, the more there is to explore, but it doesn't feel like it's going to take me out. It feels like a privilege to be able to, like, go through this. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I think in the entrepreneurial world, and when you do heal and you're able to live out what you wanted to, but you weren't able to for so long, it can be super hard work.
Yeah.
It could be taxing on the nervous system. We have to learn to set those boundaries because it's not
Yeah.
this regular, structured 9 to 5 with the paycheck you're going to get. So you really have to be like parenting yourself with, okay,
Totally.
you're
Yeah.
done at this time, and all of the things. So yeah.
Yeah, totally. Well, I'm curious about moving into understanding neuroplasticity to heal is where I started. And then understanding neuroplasticity to become and to step into a new identity, an authentic, aligned identity is where I have been and where I'm at and what I am like so obsessed with. So when you talked about like expanding and stepping into a new identity, you just posted something about, well, the caption on one of your recent posts was, it says embodiment is so uncomfortable most of the time until it's not anymore, and then it's just you. And what you're talking about is like the identity of the person that you want to become. I think you posted recently about getting pushback from somebody who's like, you can't just visualize yourself into the future. Like you have, it's nervous system regulation. And you're like, they are the same. Can you explain for people what's happening when we are visualizing our future self? Because the woo woo nature, or I think a lot of the woo woo language that we hear, like it doesn't land with a lot of people. And you talked about like needing the science. What
Yeah.
is the science behind that? What's happening when we're doing that?
Yeah, when you're visualizing, you're forming new neural pathways surrounding identity, and you're rewiring your reticular activating system. So your reticular activating system basically filters what you see and what you don't see. So if your reticular activating system, if its set point is I'm sick, it's going to filter out all of the evidence to support that healing is possible, and it's only going to show you evidence to support that you're going to have this forever, that it's not going to work, that it worked for Joe Schmo but it's not going to work for me. And then with success and abundance and an aligned journey, when you're visualizing that, you're retraining your reticular activating system, the brain's filtering system, to start to see this is possible and this
Hmm.
is the road that we're heading towards. Like you're basically showing your brain a preview of the future. So it
Hmm.
starts to believe in that possibility more, and then it starts to filter out, okay, I do see that this is possible. And so through that repetition, you're more likely to embark on choices that are in alignment with that version of you who's already doing those things. And you're able to see them, opposed to you not being able to see them if you weren't visualizing that and preparing for that future ahead of time. And then if you do that enough, there actually becomes more friction with you not engaging in those behaviors of your future self than if you did start to.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's friction of, because in your mind you're rehearsing, this is exactly who I am and this is what this future looks like. So your subconscious is getting the message again and again and again. This is who we are. This is what we accomplished. It felt the feelings, it lived it out. So then when you go about your day to day in the next week, the next month, the next 6 months, and you're not doing what you've been practicing, it starts to create more friction. And I think that's the beauty of the work. It almost forces you into embodying it in real life.
Yes, totally. Yeah, it makes me think of mine and probably so many others like physical health journeys and how I was obese. I was a overweight kid. And so in my mind, like that was just who I was. So any attempts at like physical health and changing were like my if my subconscious could speak, it would be like, this isn't who I am, but I'm gonna do this because I am supposed to. And it never worked. It never ever worked because it wasn't like, no, this is who I am now. I didn't even know how to like think that way at first. And I think that for a lot of people, entrepreneurs, creatives, like so many people that are trying to do something that they've never done, if your identity doesn't match that thing, then it is one of the biggest reasons why we don't follow through with it, right?
Yeah, the subconscious, I always say the subconscious always wins. It always wins. You cannot outwork or outthink your subconscious mind. It'll take you back every single time to the identity that's being reinforced most of the time, emotionally and through your actions and through what you're thinking, that it's going to take you back to that identity.
Yeah. How do you help people through that rough time in the beginning where you're moving where you know that you want to move into this new iteration of who you
Mhm.
are, these goals, but you're just like having such a hard time with it.
Yeah, I run into this problem a lot, and that's actually that also inspired the transformation blueprint as well, because I'm very
Yeah.
realistic with the time frame. I say you're giving it like at least 6 months, because that's when science shows that that real new neural pathway has enough time to be fired and wired and strong and solidified, especially when it comes to deep identity level transformation. That's something that people have been firing and wiring for normally decades. So it's not
Yeah.
going to be this overnight quick fix. So I like
Right.
to really help people understand the science of how long it could possibly take, and also how there's always a delay in the practices. Like for
Yeah.
me with the food and with the chronic fatigue, I remember I was visualizing so much for so long. I think I didn't notice anything up until month 3. I mean, like
Yeah.
nothing,
Nothing.
literally nothing. And it takes a crazy level of belief in the power of the brain to be able to commit to a process that intense for that long with literally zero proof that it's
Yeah.
working.
Yeah.
Zero.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, so I let them know, and I create reinforcement systems for them and celebrating small wins and really explaining that if you train your brain, it has literally no choice but to change.
Yeah.
If you're training it, it's going to change.
Yes. Totally.
It doesn't
And
matter.
right. I think that when we're talking about the future and visualizing the future, giving yourself a preview of the future. I mentioned this before we started recording, but I work with creatives and I work with artists, and we're all across the board as humans predicting the future, whether we realize it or not. Our brains are like prediction machines. So, a body that has a lot of fear in it and is in a lot of self protection and self preservation is anticipating a fearful future. And I think that's the thing that I really want to stress, especially for my creatives, is like I told you, we have technicolor imaginations in general. Like the artists that I work with are like these brilliant like ideas and dreamers and have all of these wonderful things. And so often that gets used against them in their own brain. I mean,
Mhm.
not against them. It is what your brain thinks it needs to do for self-protection. But you're already predicting the future. So what you're talking about and what neuroplasticity um, is showing us is that it's possible to predict the future that you want to have
Exactly.
using all of that.
Yeah, because visualizing as well as it creates prediction errors in the brain. So if you're used to predicting the worst case scenario or your
Right.
future looking bleak or not that hopeful, when you start to visualize health, abundance, success, peace, ease, those are creating prediction errors in your brain, and that's really how you begin to rewire that.
Yes. So what do you think is the biggest mistake you see when people are brain retraining?
100% without a doubt, they give up way too soon. Way too.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, they'll start off strong. They'll buy into the science for a little bit, but people need gratification and results too soon. And I think that there's this unsick
Mm,
sense of it should have already happened. And if you could remove that, remove the timeline and remove it needing to happen at month 2 or month 3, and you just commit to the practice no matter what, no matter how bored you are, no matter how bad you feel that day, no matter how much everything in your current reality is telling you this isn't going to work or this isn't working,
yeah.
you just stick to it and you're just consistent, eventually it will catch up to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the
What's
science behind that, or what's actually happening when our external world is reflecting our subconscious? What is that? Like as far as like the science behind it, like because again, it's not hard for me to buy into, because I love the woo woo. I am, deeply spiritual person. I also have studied the science, and I just feel like it's such an easy buy in. But I wonder from your perspective, like if I were to explain something like, well, your external world is like it's just reflecting what you believe. Like I get
Oh,
met with like a lot of like, what are you talking about? Like I can't control the entire external world. Like what's going on there?
oh, you're talking about law of attraction?
I guess I'm talking about like, is there, when we're experiencing the world in a certain way, and it has to do with what our subconscious believes about the world. Um, I think we could say that that's the law of attraction, but what's the science of that? Like, what's actually happening? Like, that's causing the way that we experience our external world outside of woo woo language.
I'm trying to make sure I'm understanding this. So you're saying that so basically what our dominant subconscious belief is going to reflect our external reality. Is that what you?
Yes, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
That is true, right?
Oh
Like,
yeah. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
I
And so
yeah,
I think that's where you merge neuroscience there because you're firing and wiring a specific identity. I am healthy, and that's rewiring yourself back into health. And so
yes.
again, you're going to start acting like someone healthy. You're going to commit to the practices you need to commit to get healthy. So that's the
Yes.
science piece. You're you're
Yeah.
you're you're rewiring your neural pathways in your brain's filtering system. That's the
Yes.
neuroscience piece. And then with law of attraction and manifestation, everything is energy. Science has proved that everything is energy. And there is an intelligence that connects all of us and all things, whatever it is that you want to call it, the universe, God,
Yes.
source. There's an energy that connects all of us, that everything is energy. And if you're emitting subconsciously, I am healthy, I am abundant, I am a magnet to success, that's the energy and frequency and vibration that you're sending out into this intelligence, and it mirrors it back to you.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
attracts like. It's
Yeah.
it's it's a magnet. It's
Yeah.
why sometimes you will be talking about someone or thinking about someone, and they'll call you. These
Hmm.
things really aren't
Oh,
coincidences. it's
yeah.
it's
No.
everything is energy. So I really do
Yeah.
believe that there is a huge energetic component to it as well,
Yes.
which
Yeah.
is why which is why I think practices like visualization and affirmations and embodiment are important, because then you're emitting the frequency of I am and I already have this.
Yeah.
There's congruence between the two.
Yes.
If
Yes. Totally.
if you say you want it, but your subconscious is we're not there yet, then you're admitting I'm actually not this person. And those
Right.
practices really help you to get in that energy to attract what you want.
Yes. I always think of it too, like in a relational, growing up like in a relationship based like faith system. If I ask for something that my identity isn't a match for, if God were to give me that, but I wasn't a match for it, it actually, now I know, like my nervous system would feel so unfamiliar that it would push it away. And so I feel like that's kind of like almost the kindness of God to be like, okay, yes, I want this for you, like you want this for you, but like we got to learn how to hold it first. And learning to hold it means you got to become the person to whom this is normal for and not unfamiliar to.
Right. Right. And exactly. And that's why it doesn't mean that it isn't working. It just means that
Right.
you have to upgrade your identity to be able to, get it and then keep it. Not just get it,
Yes.
not get it and then sabotage it, get it and nervous system dysregulation, get it, have the capacity and be able to hold it, and then, and then
And then you'll
expand.
notice it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
kind of crazy too. And I'm sure with the people that you've worked with, like sometimes I'll try and explain it to people ahead of time, but I'm like, you have no idea the opportunities that come into your life the more that you embody the version of yourself that you want to be. It's like borderline scary. It's like crazy, crazy for myself. I've seen it for my clients. Like I'm sure you've seen it a million times.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, when you start piggybacking off of that, when you start saying no to certain things that your
Yeah.
because if your new identity wants X, and then something comes into your an opportunity arises, and you say yes from your old identity, you're signaling that you don't believe that something bigger and better is possible for you. So if you're operating
Right.
from that new identity, would he or she say yes to that, or would he or she look at that and
Right.
say no, like no, that's not for me? So a lot of my journey was actually saying no to so many perceived opportunities. And
Yes.
as I began to lean into my intuition and my internal GPS system,
Yep. Yep.
and say no, I'm meant for something bigger, I'm meant for something more aligned. I could just feel that it wasn't for me. The blessings just eventually became, they just started pouring in, like pouring in, and they
Yeah.
were so much better than that, maybe pretty good on paper opportunity.
Yes, totally. Oh, that's such a good reminder for me, hopefully for everybody. And the old identity, like pathways, the old identity, it doesn't disappear completely, right? It just kind of atrophies
Yeah, yeah.
and it can be activated again,
Hmm.
especially like with a big trigger. You can be like, oh my gosh, I just went back 10 years.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of like muscle memory. You have to keep working the new identity out, and especially, the nervous system is sensitive to intense levels of stress. And so
Yeah.
your identity will get tested significantly, usually in those moments of stressors. That's when people will see old symptoms emerge, or they'll question themselves. And really, how you respond in those moments suppresses those old pathways again, or it reinforces them. So it's not always a bad thing. It could be a good time to really practice and strengthen those new ones.
Yes, the ruthless editing of your own subconscious.
Yeah.
I think one of the benefits too of a brain retraining practice, and is that it was actually for me really regulating. I remember at one point just being like, well, this doesn't feel anything like who I am. This doesn't feel like this is even possible for me, but I know the science is there. And honestly, it's kind of a nice break to just like escape into like a somewhere. And I remember like even that as a regulation practice would have been worth it for me. Like it just helped me feel safer.
And it does. I mean,
Yes.
it's signaling safety to your brain, and I fully believe that once the brain is fully convinced that it's safe, the body heals. Once
Yeah.
it's been reinforced enough safety signals again and again and again, the side effect of that is healing. Just like when it was reinforced fear and being
Yep.
afraid again, the side effect is sickness.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
the antidote is really just feeling safe. And so practices
Yes.
like that cultivate safety, because you're going on a mental vacation filled with peace and love and prosperity,
Connection.
health and connection and feeling
Yes.
free. So if your nervous system is naturally over time going to be reinforced with, we're okay right now.
Yeah.
And again, it really starts to believe we are okay. There's no threat. There's
There's
that.
no
I believe that
emergency.
there's no threat. Yes.
Yes, totally. Um, is there anything that you would want to encourage people that are brand new to this idea? Any like hope or like your general like biggest message that you feel like you want to share that you could share with people?
Yeah. I would say if someone else was able to do something, you can.
Mm,
It doesn't. Nervous systems don't discriminate. Neuroplasticity doesn't discriminate. If
mm,
you put in the work, you're able to create massive levels of transformation in your life.
Amazing. What would your it just honestly, I just want to ask this last question. What would that version of you at your lowest low think of who you are today?
Oh, I love that. I think I think she would be very proud, very
Mm,
happy, very relieved, and also
yeah,
like I knew it. I knew that
totally.
you
I
would
was right all along.
do it. Yep.
Yeah,
It was just a
so
matter
I
of
feel
time.
too.
Yeah. Yeah. I told you
Totally
cloud
how I feel. Yeah,
five.
yeah. I was right the whole time. It was so lovely to have you on. I just enjoy you so much and I enjoy your content so much. I think it's so, so helpful. Where can people find you?
Thank you. Thank you. I enjoyed hearing about your story as well, and also
Mm.
amazing work on your end. It's
Oh, thank you so
not
much.
not an easy
Yeah.
journey. You're doing amazing
Yeah.
and
Thank
helping
you.
others. Yes, of course. And people can find me on Instagram. It's pretty easy to remember. Let's train the brain.
It's a good one. It's a great handle to grab. Well, everybody go check out Alyssa on Let's Train the Brain on Instagram. Amazing, encouraging content pretty consistently every single week. And again, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I
Of
appreciate it.
course. Yeah, absolutely. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you next time.